Welcome or welcome back to Mining the Comments. This week we'll discuss, what does befriending wakefulness mean? I know that we've discussed this topic before, but I think it looks like most of us, including myself, when I joined this program, I really struggled with this. And so I thought maybe we could take a look at it again, maybe take a different approach, and hopefully maybe we can help people understand this a little bit better. So this week's question comes from Kaleidoscope Panda. I'm really not quite sure what is meant by befriending wakefulness. Is this state of mind or something we should be doing when we're awake and can't get back to sleep? Panda, thank you for your question. And I think it's difficult to sometimes understand, even if we explain it. So, for example, this befriending wakefulness in its simplest form explained is, if you're awake in the middle of the night, what can you do to help pass the time? What can you do that you might enjoy? And oftentimes there'll be examples of, watching TV, reading a book, or even just laying there and resting. But I think if maybe we were to understand why, that can be really helpful. I'm a big fan of asking why. Why are we doing something? What's the purpose? What's the intent? And when I tend to understand why, that is super helpful information, where now I'm not just trying to do something because I should be, or it's, down the checklist that we have to go through and check that off. So this week in particular, I've had several calls where we're pretty much discussing this befriending wakefulness. One call in particular, the person was thinking that for some reason he needed to no longer feel fear. And so befriending wakefulness to him meant, well, if I'm still dealing or feeling with fear, then I'm not befriending wakefulness. And I think that is a very difficult perspective. I think it's very hard, because I don't think any of us can control I know that none of us can control our thoughts or our feelings that come. We can only control how we respond to them. So I explained it like this. There's a huge difference between feeling fear and feeling or believing there's a real threat or a real danger. And so I don't know that we can never I know that we can't ever get to a point where we are no longer feeling fear. What I do believe is that we can start to reframe the situation and notice that when these thoughts or feelings of fear come along, we can understand that this is just information coming our way. And since there is no real threat or danger, it's only perceived, we don't have to do anything. And when we understand it like this, then when the feelings, the sensations of fear come, we don't have to do anything about it. I described this example where several years ago, there had been a pretty nasty storm, heavy thunder and lightning. And lightning struck one of the homes in my neighborhood. I don't know, maybe about 4 or 5 houses down. And it caught the roof on fire, and the entire house burned down. So it would make sense that anytime there's another storm that is, where we're experiencing heavy thunder and lightning, that we're going to deal with fear, right? Because now there's a potential threat or danger to our home because it's happened before. Now we have evidence that something has happened. But what was interesting is I did some research on what are the chances of lightning striking in the same neighborhood, in the same area again. And the chances were, slim to pretty much none. And so I thought, well, what do I do when another storm comes and I can hear the thunder, and I can even see the lightning coming, well, naturally, I'm going to feel a sense of fear because it's going to remind me of what happened a couple of years ago. And so that feeling of fear, that thought of fear, is information. And as we have this information come in, we can choose to grab onto that information and choose how to respond with it. Number one, is it a real danger? Is it a real threat? Well, based on the information the research that I've done, it doesn't look like there's a really good chance that it's going to hit my neighborhood again, let alone 4 or 5 houses away. So is this a real danger or a threat? I don't think so. And so what do I need to do about it? Nothing. And so if I can understand that this information, this fear, these thoughts are coming my way because it's there to help me and protect me, then I don't really have to worry about it. I don't have to look at these thoughts and feelings as a problem. I don't have to get to a point where there's another storm and I no longer have any thoughts. I no longer feel any sense of fear. It passes, but I've already processed this information, assessed the threat level, and it's really slim to none. I really don't do anything about it. So what does this have to do with insomnia? So with insomnia, we tend to, especially in the beginning, we are riddled with fear, with anxiety, and we feel like there's a real danger, a real threat. And so how does befriending wakefulness come into play? Well, when we start to understand that the brain has perceived this wakefulness as a threat and it's trying to do something to fix it, then we understand what's kind of happening within our minds. And there's a big difference between a sense of fear or a thought and a real threat. And so the idea of this befriending wakefulness is to not stop the feelings or the thoughts of fear. It's to understand them. It's to say, if let's say it's middle of the night and we wake up, we're wide awake, how can we start to retrain the brain to see that there is no danger? It's just perceived. We can assess our environment. We can look and realize that we are in our home, that we're safe, that we can be full of thoughts and feelings, but that is just information coming in. And so how can we respond to those thoughts and those feelings? Well, once we have information and understanding what insomnia is, we don't really have to do anything. So what can we do while we're feeling these feelings that may be uncomfortable or unpleasant? Not to push them away, because there's nothing to do with them. The more we try to push them away, the more this becomes a threat or a danger, or we perceive these feelings as something that we have to do something about, when we don't. And so it doesn't really matter what we do when we're wide awake. Recognize that we are not reacting to this wakefulness with any type of response that's telling us that we're in danger. So the list of things that we can do is almost endless. And doing nothing is also one of them. Laying there and resting is certainly something we can do. That's how we can be befriending wakefulness. Again, super common for people maybe to watch TV or read a book. I really started making some stuff up because, my journey was pretty long before I found Daniel's program. And so I remember in the middle of the night, I would just find myself, learning to play the guitar. But playing the guitar, I even bought a ukulele. So, anyways, I started learning to make candles in the middle of the night. So the idea isn't to do something to somehow run away from these thoughts or feelings. We want to bring those thoughts and feelings along with us, because there is no danger. There is no threat. And as we start to practice this befriending wakefulness, as we start to allow these thoughts and feelings to enter, and we start to grab these thoughts and feelings and show them that there's nothing that we have to fix, what happens? Well, that brain of ours that has been looking at wakefulness as a threat now starts to notice and starts to see that there is no threat. And that hyperarousal, which is keeping us awake, starts to come down, starts to put less pressure on us. We can start feeling a sense of less fear and anxiety just because we don't react to it. And so I think that if we can maybe explain and if we can understand why we're practicing this befriending wakefulness, can be really helpful in really trying to teach ourselves that there is no threat. It's this misguided message that we don't need to do anything about. So, Kaleidoscope, I hope this was helpful, and I hope that as you are struggling in the nights with wakefulness, just know that as we practice this over and over again, that hyperarousal will come down. And with time, you'll start feeling that sensation of tiredness or fatigue, and rest and sleep will come with time. That is all for this week. I'd like to thank everyone again for their support, for their comments. Please feel free to post questions, and I'll do my best to respond the following week. Until then, be kind, be patient with yourself. This journey of insomnia can be really difficult, but the wonderful thing is that it will pass. Take care. Have a good week.
Hi, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you found incredible value in the video you just watched. If you did, please share it with the world, like it, comment, because this way more people can find their way to peaceful sleep. Now, if you like learning by reading and you feel like you have a little ways to go, then head over to Amazon and check out Set It and Forget It. It is a very easy book to read. It is flowy, it has illustrations. But if you're looking for some deeper understanding, then this is Natto, maybe the one for you. I hope they really help. Thank you for being here, and thank you for helping.